What's up, class, and welcome to another lesson in the No Mod Shop class here on the Skooled Zone. Hope you guys are hanging in there. No one's gotten sick. So, as promised in my last video, for today's lesson, I wanted to go over some clever tips and tricks for setting up your traps. There's a lot to cover, so instead of making it into one super long video, I'm dividing it into part 1 and 2. So this will be part 1 and part 2 will come out, very soon. Now, because of that, and also because I've had very few submissions so far for the Trap Maze contest, I'm going to extend the deadline for the contest by a month. So you now have until the end of July. It's unusual to see so few submissions for a contest at this late juncture, especially one where I'm making a one-time exception for mods. I hope it's not because of the lack of cash prizes, those will return when the economy improves. But I have a feeling that people were either procrastinating or maybe life's gotten a little overwhelming right now with all the multiple national crises layered on top of one another, Too many other things to think about. In any case, a few extra weeks to perfect your masterpiece might just be what the foreman ordered, you know what I mean? But before we dive into the video, it's time for a peek at this month's Wall of Fame. As with past videos, I feature the names of my amazing Patreon supporters once a month on this here Wall of Fame, and here are my fantastic Patreons this month. Thank you guys so much for helping me sustain the channel. Things are tough out there, I know, especially with the unemployment what it is right now. So for those of you who have stayed a member of the Student Council, I really do appreciate it. In fact, it's making up for a huge decline in YouTube ad revenue this year across the board. The big YouTubers probably don't feel the pain as much as the smaller channels. So that's why supporting the channel through Patreon is so needed. You guys keep the channel afloat. Okay, let's head over to my Starlight Building Grounds where I already have a little pavilion of things to show you. See you over there. Okay, here we are at my Starlit Drive-In, and I've already set up some examples to show you, and then I'll have more examples for you in the part 2 video. Okay, so let's take a quick peek at each of these, and I'll give you some notes and stuff as we go. Okay, so this one I call my mini Tower of Death. If you wanted this to do damage, you would probably be a lot higher, but let's take a little peek at the top here. Okay, so I have one of these trap doors that I mentioned in the traps video. People will step through it and then fall onto, this pressure plate with the girders and stuff. All right, now you probably want to give them a way out, otherwise they'll get just stuck in one place. But, if they fall through, then it could do some falling damage and some spike damage. Now, the reason why I wanted to set this up is because with each of these, there's a few little tricks you'll need to know that might not be so obvious, okay? So what I did was, you don't have to have this staircase wrapping around. It can just be integrated into your build or however you want to set it up. But the reason I wanted to include this one is because this trap door is going to be really difficult to get into place if you try to put it in first, okay? So the trick with this trap door is all about build order. So that's why I set this one up to show you that. I won't rebuild it for you. I'll just explain it to you real quick. What I had to do to get this trap door in place was actually just start off with a regular floor tile here and then replace it at the end, okay? So I had to build the walls around it, add the roof, or, a floor tile, roof tile, whatever you need. Probably a floor tile would be better because then you can add an extension out to the side, this floor tile. And then once you have both floor tiles, then you can stand on this floor tile and replace the floor tile here with the trapdoor floor, okay? If you try to set it in there in any other way, it's just not going to work, and you'll probably give up on it, which is probably why a lot of people haven't used this cool trapdoor feature as much as they should. But it is all about build order. Now, if Bethesda had done it right, it would have snapped into place like a normal floor, but it didn't, so that's the reason I wanted to show you this first one here. All right, and it also gives you an idea of what you can do with the trapdoors so that, they actually do something. Okay, the next thing we have here are the Tesla arcs. And the reason why I wanted to show you this one, and then its companion over here, the radiation emitters, I have 4 of them underneath these little floor platforms, is because for some strange reason, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's just interesting that it was programmed this way. the Tesla arc electricity can't pass through the solid wood floor. Okay, it'll just spark and it won't actually do any damage. But it can pass through these wire mesh floors. All right, so I wanted to give you that example here. Now, you'll probably want to do a lot of the wiring in your trap maze, or, you know, just in general for your settlements using the Wi-Fi glitch. Having all these wires around here is actually irking me, but I just wanted to set this up really fast so I can crank out this video in time, you know, in between my Last of Us remastered videos and stuff, so that you could get to you for the purposes of this contest. But let's check out what it looks like with the wire mesh. Okay. See how it goes through. Not every single spark is going to make it through the mesh, but the majority of them will. I'd say about 80% of them will make it through the wire mesh floor. I guess, you know, the wire mesh is conducting the electricity for it. It's enhancing it or something. I don't know. But anyway, so keep that in mind. You know, if you set up your Tesla arcs below the floor where they can't be seen, and then they don't work through like a wood floor or concrete metal floor, things like that, then try one of these mesh floors out. These are found in the I believe the warehouse section. I'll just show you real quick. And yes, with a lot of these you will need the DLC. So okay, so let's check out floors, and here they are, the warehouse floors. Have these mesh. There might be some in scaffolding too, but anyway. Okay, now, ironically, unlike the Tesla arcs, the radiation emitters can go through the wood floors, or I'm not sure if they can go through the metal floors. I haven't tested that yet. You guys can feel free, but you can at least rest assured that they can go through the wooden floors. So I'll turn on this switch, and then you can see how it looks. All right. That's going to give some rads. Now, I think they still give rads off, so I won't get too close to those. All right. Yeah, there you go. Eventually it wears off. Okay, so that's good to know. So the radiation emitters can go through the floor. So if you have them cross through a tripwire on a delayed on switch, that would be pretty cool. You know, they'd trip the wire, and then a few seconds later, when they've actually walked into the area, then they'll get blasted by radiation. Okay, this next little section is pretty cool. I wanted to show you how the spring-loaded traps can actually pass through the walls. And I know that's a wee bit cheesy, you know, for realism purposes, but it actually does work. And as you can see, I wanted to leave this one. I could have made it completely airtight, but I wanted you to be able to see just the remnants of the pressure plate. All right, now what I did was, let me lift this off, actually, and show you. I actually merged those two together, so there wasn't going to be any place where they wouldn't be able to step on one of the pressure plates from either side. All right, and it actually didn't take any rug tricks or anything. They actually naturally are able to merge with each other. Okay, so when you have a little gauntlet like this, you know, the hall narrows and they step through. There you go. All right, it's hard to see, but I got crushed from both sides with spikes. All right. In fact, I'll go ahead and step on it again and back up so you can see it from back here. That is pretty cool. So there's going to be a lot of stuff you probably want to hide behind the walls in your trap maze, and this is a good example of that. So everything looks innocent as they walk through, and there you go. All right, now I could have hidden these behind the walls even further, actually, because these can pass through the walls as well. But I wanted to show you saw blade setup, because one saw blade is easy to walk past. But check this out, okay? So I step on this pressure plate here. They all pass through each other. That is really cool. That would be hard to get through, you know, unless you just timed it right and dash, which is what a trap maze is all about, right? The problem here, though, is that when you step off the pressure plate, they stop, okay? So you could even time that so that it looks like maybe there's just one. I don't know. But anyway, the problem with this saw blade trap is that it needs constant power. So you could have, for example, a laser tripwire that they walk through where it stays in the on position. And maybe it only turns off after they've walked through a second laser tripwire A good example of that setup is something I did with the auto decon arch. So you can check out that video. I'll leave links below because I already kind of set it up that way. Then that way, you know, they trigger the power, it stays on, and then they walk through. Now keep in mind that it doesn't have to be a human being that steps on the pressure plate for it to apply its triggering of the power. Okay, you can also use objects. I don't know why you'd want to do this, or maybe you could have it so that when they walk out of a room, they have to push the object aside and thus releasing the pressure plate and have it switch off. But I just wanted to show you this real quick. You can take objects such as this waste basket here and place it on the pressure plate, and it will then run on its own. Okay, and then if someone's, say, coming from the other direction, and this is a narrower hallway like that one over there, and then they kick over the trash can, then they would stop. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. I hope it gave you some cool ideas that you can use in your own settlements or for the Trap Maze contest. You know, some tricky trap tips. Try saying that 10 times in a row. Anyway, part 2 will be posted very soon. Also, a quick side note, my Last of Us Remastered trivia walkthroughs with full commentary are wrapping up in anticipation of The Last of Us Part 2 coming out this month. I'm going to roll right into trivia walkthroughs of the sequel the Saturday after the last episode of the first game posts. So, if you want to get caught up on the story, check out my Last of Us Remastered playlist and you won't be sorry. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and a like and a share always helps. See you in the next lesson. Happy building, and class dismissed.